With the economy the #1 issue for voters in this presidential campaign, many Americans, including Joe the plumber, have been trying to decipher each candidate's tax plan and what it will mean for their wallet. I'm Kelsey Hubbard, and here with me to explain the differences is Tom Herman, senior special writer for the Wall Street Journal. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Kelsey.
So we've got this election coming up in less than 6 weeks. The political rhetoric has been heating up over these taxes. What is the fundamental difference between the two candidates' tax plans?
Well, Kelsey, both senators are calling for lower taxes overall, but they have very sharply different opinions on how to get there. For instance, Senator McCain wants to freeze today's income tax rates. He's also calling for sharply lower capital gains tax rates, and he's calling for raising the personal exemption amount. Senator Obama is saying, let's keep most tax rates the same. However, let's raise them for people making more than $250,000 if they're married, if it's a family, or $200,000 if they're single. And he's also calling for raising the capital gains rate on people making more than $250,000 or $200,000. So very sharp distinctions, but both of them overall want lower taxes.
And are there a few areas where they agree? What about estate taxes?
Yes, there are some very strong agreements on estate taxes, but also some important differences. This year, the first $2 million is essentially excluded from the federal estate tax. Next year, that's scheduled to go up to $3.5 million. Senator Obama says, let's leave it at $3.5 million and have a top tax rate of 45%. Senator McCain says, let's raise that to $5 million and have a top rate of only 15%. So they're very far apart, at least on the tax rate. However, they're very close together on two other very important points. One is Senator Obama and Senator McCain both agree on something called portability. That means basically you could double the exemption amount without having to go through all the expense and the time and aggravation of setting up complex trusts or retitling assets. So in other words, it would be, for Senator Obama, it'd be $7 million for a couple, and for Senator McCain it would be a $10 million exemption per couple. That's one of the main areas of agreement. They also agree on something else that's a little more complicated called step-up in basis. That just means if you inherit assets, you value them at the date of death, or in some cases 6 months later. They both agree that that system should be retained.
Okay, interesting. And there have been some new proposals this week as we wind down this campaign. How would they work?
That's right. Well, Senator McCain put out a new proposal in reaction to all the financial mess that we've been seeing. He says, let's cut the long-term capital gains rate in half. So now the capital gains rate right now is 15% on stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He says let's cut that to 7.5% for 2009 and 2010. Senator Obama has not agreed to that. In fact, Senator Obama wants to raise the rate from 15 to 20% for people making more than, as I said, $250,000 for a family or $200,000 for singles. They've also proposed other changes for retirement plans. For instance, Senator Obama wants to make penalty-free withdrawals in many cases. Senator McCain has said, let's just tax withdrawals at 10% instead of the ordinary rate, which can be as high as 35%.
And, if we look at this, some people are saying, the federal government is spending $700 billion to get this rescue plan to Wall Street. We're fighting costly wars. We've got a deficit that is soaring, energy and healthcare policies that they're hoping to put in place. So is it feasible to expect that either of these candidates can actually cut taxes?
I'm expecting there will be, well, it depends on who wins, and it depends on what the shape of Congress is in November, too. But it's going to be very hard to predict what's going to happen next year. These are just the opening shots in the tax battle that we're going to see next year. I do expect something very significant on estate taxes next year, no matter who wins. That's because the estate tax is scheduled under current law to disappear in 2010. Both sides say we're not going to allow that to happen. So there will be some sort of an agreement next year on estate taxes. Who knows what's going to happen on income taxes, especially if the turmoil in the financial markets gets much, much greater.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your insight.
My pleasure, Kelsey. Thank you.
I've been speaking with Tom Herman, special senior writer for the Wall Street Journal. I'm Kelsey Hubbard in New York.